Heads, and welcome to the League, exploring the League of Legends lore from A to Z. My name is Rebecca.
And I'm John.
My name is Mark.
Today we're talking about the Aspect of the Twilight Zoe, who was released November 21st, 2017. Way longer ago than I thought, for some reason. Or maybe at first I thought 2017 was a lot sooner than it is.
I went both ways with you.
That's more what it is.
Yeah, right?
I feel like this is one of the few that seems exactly where I expected them, actually.
Okay, all right. You play her
really?
sometimes, so maybe you have that.
I feel like I remember when she came out.
I remember when she came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought I would take her mid because that was at a time where maybe that was something that I would do with champions. But I don't.
Go mid lane?
I don't. So I play her in
But
ARAM
some jerk
instead.
you play with keeps playing mid. I don't know what the deal is. He won't relinquish his grasp over it.
His wife's like, you're going to make me support a rando?
No, it's fine. You can go top.
No, first of all, you legitimately can. I don't care about the rando. I used to, but now, fuck it. I'll mute him. I don't care. I'll let him die. I'll go top lane with you.
Yeah, sure.
Fuck him. I'm not playing ranked. Wouldn't actually do that. Anyway, I guess do we want to do impressions?
Sure.
I was going to do that top one, but then
okay,
I found
go for
another one that I liked.
Oh, I love it.
She says this to Lux. I'm going to have to pick to back up a little bit.
Oh.
You don't own rainbows!
That was really good.
Thank you. I was once an
I like the
8-year-old
little-
girl, so I think I can.
Well, I've not been. Okay, some of us we didn't have all those advantages growing up. Okay. Oh man. Okay. Okay. I bear a message from. Oh hey, what's that?
Love it.
Discord tried to cut you off, but you were like, no. I'm not letting
I
you.
said no.
It was funny, but it did kind
Not
of
today.
disappear a little bit. Man, now I can't wait to hear y'all's Zyra impressions too. It's
Oh,
It's
yeah,
going to be
sure.
sexy.
yeah.
All right. Hey guys, so cosmic change time, possible Armageddon, Twilight of the Gods, blah blah blah. You've been heralded.
Oh goodness.
I like it. She's got fun voice lines.
She does.
I didn't realize
yeah.
how many she had. You know what? That was what makes her feel like she's from 2017 is looking at all of her voice lines.
Yeah.
Riot was really high on the voice line shit at that time.
People are going to go nuts over this shit. They're going to hear these voice lines all the time.
It is better than when you play,
get the same
Cho'Gath or
shit all over
Kassadin,
again.
and you're like, oh great, I can't wait to hear these 9 lines over and over again.
Who was it that when we were doing that Patreon video? Who was it that called me Summoner?
Oh,
LeBlanc, is it?
I think it might have been Katarina, right?
I think LeBlanc recently
Oh,
called
LeBlanc?
you Summoner.
LeBlanc. I didn't play Cat.
Yeah.
LeBlanc.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Things like that are shocking when like you don't expect it. It's like, oh man, I forgot how fucking old you are and your voice lines.
That
are.
must be very confusing
like her.
for like. I guess summoner names have
New
been on there
players?
for a long time. Yeah, I was gonna say new players because like
But even new players,
I guess now
They're
summoner
Riot
names
IDs now.
aren't really a thing. That's really
That's true,
new
yeah.
players though.
new.
New players, yeah. I knew he was going to do it. Anyway, on the universe page, she has a bio and a short story. And that's it.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's mostly all she has. So
Yeah.
I feel like does the website universe, does it link to Twilight of the Gods? I forget.
It has one short story. No, it's
no.
Meet Zoe is the only one.
doesn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So it does have most of her
just
stuff. It
looking
is
at it.
missing probably the most significant part of her actual lore, but that's all right.
Classic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess we'll get into it as we start talking about her. But is that really how much of that's like Zoe versus the was that
aspects.
Zoe as she? You know what? I
That's true.
don't want to get too much.
All right.
We'll get into it.
I'll go through her bio. All right. So Zoe
Sure.
was a normal little girl in Targon. Was she in Targon?
She was in Targon.
Okay.
She
Yeah,
was
they say she was
part of the
from the
Record.
Record.
Okay. Oh, record.
Can I
That's
say?
right. Mm.
Right. Can I say how lovely it is as we are coming to the close of doing the champions that they have literally in the bio, in the opening paragraph, she was a normal girl.
Yeah.
I
in,
know.
In whatever, Targon.
It's so nice.
This whole
they edit
time,
this for
Rebecca
us?
just read forward. she skipped to the end and has been using that influence ever since.
I love how this all
It's kind of
started
on brand for Zoe.
because I was just trying to say that Kaisa was a normal girl, and you thought that was really a funny way to phrase it for some reason. I don't even know why. Anyway, Zoe was kind of like a little shit kid. One day she was skipping away from her holy studies, and the Aspect of the Twilight took notice. The Aspect watched her get chased by a bunch of priests for over an hour and was then backed into a corner. The Aspect helped Zoe by offering her 6 objects, and they were as follows: a bag of gold coins, a sword, a completed study book, a devotion rug, a silk rope, and a toy ball. The idea being that the first 5 items could get her out of trouble somehow, but the 6th option was the wild card, and Zoe went, "Wild card, bitches!" And she kicked the ball at the priest. That's all I could think about. She is the Charlie Day of the Aspects, I think, is what I was feeling.
Yeah.
This was all very
Charlie
Avatar.
Kelly. Oh, Avatar? Yeah, I was thinking It's Always Sunny, but that's also...
No, I meant like the whole like choosing the like putting 6 objects out and having them choose. I feel like it's not something they touch on in the Avatar a ton, but like in the books they really get in it.
Well, I think they do that. This is based on like some King of the Hill episode, but is that not something that is done like when they're looking for like reincarnations of like dollies and stuff like that?
That's probably where it
bring
stems
objects.
from if they use it in Avatar.
That's interesting. Well, the Aspect of the Twilight loved that shit. Loved that Zoe kicked the ball at a bunch of priests. I guess it reminded her of her last host who joyfully ended the Great Darken War. So the Aspect opened up a portal to Mount Targon. Zoe dove in, just flipping off the priests. And that's how she became the Aspect of Twilight. She traveled around dimensions for a while and then went back to Runeterra, where apparently centuries had passed, even though it only felt like a year for her. So she did a little rewind in her brain so she could watch what she missed. This is the list we're given of what Zoe caught up on when she was gone. Among the events she witnessed were the rise and fall of the big armored meanie, Mordekaiser, the destruction of the Blessed Isles and the spooky ghost party, and the cataclysms of the war for sparkly rocks, and the founding of a dour new nation near the No Fun Forest. That one I didn't get.
That's Demacia.
Demacia. I thought it was
Demacia.
Demacia based on the dour new nation.
The No Fun Forest is the tree that Rise keeps those runes in, because the trees there are all made of magicite.
Right. Okay. Interesting.
They're petricite. I think
petricite?
magicite's Final Fantasy thing. My bad.
That's Final Fantasy, dude. It does the opposite. Doesn't it like
Right?
amplify
It's
magical
called
shit?
magicite.
That's the extra fun forest right there.
Zoe also noticed there were a lot more aspects wandering around. She tried to make friends, but they all fucking hate her guts. So she went to space and met Aurelian Sol instead. He also hated her, but she just kept coming back anyway. She calls him the space doggy. She really likes him. Eventually, she learned that he hates all aspects because in the past they gave him a crown that took his power. She really likes Aurelian Sol and wants to protect him, and while he hasn't said he enjoys her company, he no longer threatens to kill her when he, inevitably gets his vengeance. That's about it on Zoe. The bio ends with the idea that, like, all these aspects must mean that Runeterra is on, like, the brink of a really big change. And that's kind of it.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I do like they mentioned that she fucked off during her holy studies, and then she was chased around by the priests, and then they said after an hour-long pursuit she found herself cornered against the sheer drop of a cliff's edge. Like, those priests don't fuck around. Like, she just wanted to skip one class and they chased her for an hour to a cliff. Man, let someone play hooky for a day. Come on. She's just gonna kick
Also,
balls
it's like,
at you.
Don't get engaged in power struggles with children. It's like, it's not going to work.
We've been reading up
You
all
gotta
of
learn-
us on dealing with toddlers, because we have toddlers now. This is not the solution.
We're not supposed to chase Poppy to a
Right.
cliff edge.
No, you just push her off that thing.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah, tell you what, man.
I do like that
I
she
do
just
like
gets the
that-
free portal to Targon, too.
That
just
is wild.
Get fucked, Atreus. No free rides for you. You gotta climb that shit twice and then fly once. Come on.
Right. Yeah, they have a whole little line in there about like, she broke the rules. Don't worry about why. Don't worry about about it.
Yeah, I guess it was like the aspect chose her.
Yeah, I mean,
regardless.
Okay, so when it comes to the bio, I'm kind of two minds. Uh-oh. I feel like, can y'all still hear me?
Oh, now
cut
we
out
can.
for a little bit, but you're back.
Okay, cool. I was gonna say I'm kind of two minds. The reason being that like we've been doing this shit for a while, right? You know, we're almost done going through all the champions. I still could not tell you with like a confidence what like an aspect is, and and I think more specifically, like, what does it mean to become like the host to an aspect? We have examples from different champions, but it does seem to kind of vary from champion to champion. And I think for me, it kind of casts a weird feeling about having essentially what is Kirsten Dunst's character from Interview with the Vampire.
Yeah, you're right.
Being played for laughs, right? Where it's like, you know, she's talking about these really, like, I get the comedy, right? Of talking about, like, the Rune Wars as, like, the war for the sparkly rocks. And I think that is funny. But at the same time, it's like, it is also an actual kid who now is sort of an immortal, timeless being. And apparently, like, all of her, like, this... It's been centuries since she was last in Targon. I guess they say she can go back in time. Maybe she can go back and see her family. I don't quite know how it works. But, like, I kind of just wish it was just an aspect. There was none of this host stuff. I think that's what would smooth it all over for me. If she was just this immortal, timeless aspect that was kind of constantly doing this shit, I'd be a lot more chill.
And honestly, like...
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I thought I had a better grip of it probably until Zoe. Because I feel like her short story raises some questions for me that I didn't even have
That's
before.
also true, right?
Yeah.
That's also true. The short story we can talk about, I think it's complete fucking misfire, personally speaking.
I'll say, just sticking with her bio, I guess, I do like the idea of like a childlike aspect, but that an aspect instead being in someone who wouldn't act like a child acting like a child is funnier anyway.
Sure.
Or if you want to stick with a kid, I know they want it to be light and funny, but the idea of eternally being a child is really fucked up and dark. Like you said, they really address it in Interview with a Vampire with Claudia. And kind of touching on that a little bit, I think that would be great. Just make Zoe's shit really dark. About how fucked up this is. She didn't sign up for this. Where are her parents? Like, kids still have feelings. Yeah. Like, I know she's like teasing and she doesn't like adults and she doesn't like rules, but like they still get sad and miss people and love. Like, kids aren't some weird separate being from people.
Yeah, and when you read the short story, it comes off. It's like written like an alien.
Yes,
is like
yes.
Again. It's hard because it's all muddied by the fact that she is an aspect, and what that means in terms of like how much of it's just Zoe, the original child, and this aspect of the Twilight is like completely up in the air. I have no idea. And like I said, in other champions, it seems to vary anyway. Like we saw Diana, where it's like she was mostly in the driver's seat, and then you had like Pantheon, where Pantheon, you know, back when it was originally like the first time Atreus, whatever, Pantheon just took over completely. Atreus was like completely subsumed. So it's like, who knows, like how much of this is the aspect, how much of this is Zoe the character, right? And it's like, I think it's also funny that like I don't know the rules of this shit to begin with, so it's funny reading about this character who's like the exception to all the rules that I don't know. You know what I mean?
That's a really good point.
Throw out everything you know about aspects.
There's nothing.
Done.
I have it. It's gone already.
So,
oh man.
I think it's like it's hard because like I kind of wish I like her just being a light, fun character.
Yeah,
like
I'm with
how
you
she's
there.
characterized in the game. I love the way she's characterized in the game. I think she's like perfect. Mm-hmm. But it's just it's like all these weird details, and again, you're talking about like you can make it dark, and I almost feel like with the short story and some of the stuff in like Twilight of the Gods is a pretty serious, heavy story. It's like, is that what they're trying to do with her? Because it feels a little like
out of place.
She's pulled in different directions.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, you know.
It is weird. Yeah, she works in game, very cute, very good. Does not work lore-wise.
Yeah, not yet.
No.
I think another pass might be needed on this one.
Just figure out aspects a little more. Just a little more, so there's a little more grounded rules, and then we can understand what it means to be a host, and I don't know, maybe that would maybe if they just figured out that more and it was more clear for me, the reader, I would be fine with it, because it's like I said, I like when she's talking about all this really heavy shit and is describing it, and this is like all those little phrases you just said. It's great, it's funny. And for like the way the bio is written, I like the storytelling of it, because like unlike many other bios, this one definitely captures her voice, right? And you get a real sense of her character while still getting the facts, which is like, that's great for a bio.
Yeah, I was saying, I think this is the first time that we actually find out what the purpose of the aspect of Twilight is, because all of the other aspects seem very straightforward. You've got the aspect of the sun, the aspect of the moon, the aspect of war, the aspect of like protection or whatever the fuck Tarek is, the aspect of justice, and then you have like the aspect of Twilight, which seems like it would overlap a lot with the aspect of the moon if it was just like a nighttime thing.
It's the book Twilight,
but it is the book Twilight, so she's about the aspect of the Twilight specifically serves a function as a cosmic disruptor. It's described here as.
What the fuck does that mean?
They are here to be the harbingers of change, much like Anivia.
Okay.
Sure.
The Targonian Anivia.
They're very different. Yeah.
They should hang out.
One of them is a lot more chill.
Heyo.
It's Zoe, surprising.
Yeah, somewhere between like kind of purposefully injecting chaos a little bit, and she has a lot. It's like that quote that you said, John, even where she's kind of here like to mess it, like you said, herald a change, whatever that might mean, that something's coming.
How many places are they going to do this? Like, we know. They've said this in so many bios and stories. Big changes are coming. It happens all the time. There's big changes in Runeterra. What are you talking about?
That's life, man.
That's life, man. We all change every day.
And every change is big, It might not be big to someone else, but it's big to you.
It's big to you.
And Zoe's going to be there for it.
I would, you could write a really funny story of someone like talking with Zoe about this and be like, well, okay, like Viego just tried to kill everybody. She's like, nah, not it. That's not even close.
I hear you've got a prom coming up.
Honestly, right? Like, it'd be kind of funny. I don't know. Something a little more personal with Zoe maybe could be real funny. Because I think she's such a prime candidate for like a funny, like some just funny, right? She's a very funny comedy character.
Prime? Targon Prime?
What? Is that their Amazon Prime?
I figured I'd throw it in there while we're talking about inconsistencies amongst.
That's like some shit from like Legends, like Legends of Runeterra. I don't even know what the fuck is up with that shit, man. Who knows? I think Targon's gonna forever be vague and wishy-washy.
It is. It's
they can get away with it.
One of my least favorite places to visit, I would say. I'm
it's
not
very
really
pretty.
I don't like God stories.
Yeah.
I find them very boring, and then this is very boring. The podcast, turn it off.
Yeah.
We're done.
Right.
Quitting right before Zyra.
We
Could you
admitted,
imagine how badly we'd edge everybody?
Ooh, I kind of like it. It's kind of like, that's like a real like Dom play right there.
League
You want
of
that
Lore
Zyra
Edge.
episode, don't you?
Shut up. Oh, man.
Yeah, Targon. There are things about Targon. Like, I think
I like
one thing I
Diana
like
and
about
Leona.
Targon is it's sure.
Yeah.
I like
Although I have
them. I
questions
kind of like
there too, so
That's true.
that's
Diana's
So if you're looking
aspect
for
and Leona's
actuals, it's not the
aspect seem
place.
to be working in very different ways inside them.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'd like. What I like about Targon is that it more than many other places feels the most feels very original. I guess like there's not something I can point to like, oh, that's like what they took inspiration from for Targon. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just like uncultured. In which case, whatever. That's fine. I'm an idiot. But like when I look at like Shurima, it's like, okay, yeah, you like really ripped on like Egyptian imagery and stuff like Damascus, et cetera, right? Bilgewater is this pirate world, right? Like, but Targon, I can't tell you that like, oh, that's just something from the real world that they've kind of passed through the Runeterra filter. You know what I mean?
That's true. And honestly, I'm fine with the aspects being inconsistent as long as that was part of them. Like, that was part of the story. I mean, as far as Leona
Sure.
and Diana goes, we were just talking about them. I love the idea that Diana is in complete control and doesn't realize that maybe Leona isn't, because she doesn't know that that's how other aspects might work. And then it's devastating to think that Leona's in there, not really in control of what's going on, because she seems really inconsistent as a character, and that would be a good explanation for it. But instead, we get a lot of vague stuff, and Zoe, I think, is the least interesting aspect to me. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I mean, Twilight of the Gods. Well, I guess we talked about that's not Zoe.
Yeah.
I like Twilight of the Gods Twilight aspect. The best version. It's just that that's not the champion Zoe, so
Right. Is it 60% Zoe? Is it 80%? Is it 20%? Who can say? I agree too, because I don't know if we want to talk about that separately, but the way she's depicted there, I think does like the dark kind of interpretation of it, I think the most effectively or like well crafted, right? Where things kind of have that veneer of being silly and goofy and whatever, and then there's a very nice kind of darkness that kind of comes through at the end of the story there.
yeah.
We
know what I
do
mean?
know that you like devastating things, Mark. You want to feel
Dude,
pain.
I just got finished watching, rewatching The Shield, man. Not that this is related, but whatever. But that show is fucking great, and the ending is horribly depressing, and is great because it punishes its characters. Anyway,
Can't wait to watch it.
So
Just kidding. Not gonna do that.
I do feel bad for not watching it because I feel like it's
You
one of the
had
it's one of
started it,
those.
right?
No, I don't think so.
No?
It is one of Brian did. I probably told you that Brian was starting it, but it is one of those shows that I feel like anyone who has ever watched it has been like, this show is fucking amazing, and then they've tried to pitch me on it and made it sound just the opposite of anything I would ever want to watch. But
yeah. Well,
But I've heard it's very good.
If you like Kid Rock, you're gonna love that first episode, man.
Well, now I want to watch it, Mark. He did it. He sold it.
What can I say?
he did the impossible.
The magic words, right?
The ball with the bottom.
I'm going to be honest. The first half of this conversation about the Shield, I thought we were talking about the Marvel show. Is it Agents of Shield?
Oh, Agents
That's
of
a
Shield.
different
Agents
show.
of
That's a
My
different
bad.
show. Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, I don't hear. Sure, some people like that. I don't hear nearly as much universal praise about Agents
No,
of
probably
Shield.
not.
Anyway, Brian, if you're
Anywho.
listening,
Oh.
real quick, message me about the Shield. I want to talk about it. Anyway,
I know you hear this, Brian. This is
know you
this
listen
is
to
going to
this
be a digital short, so you're going to have to respond.
anyway, I don't know if I have much else to say about the bio. I'll
Yeah,
say.
No,
I'm good to move on to the short story. Meet Zoe, which seems like something a bio
What a
would
title.
be named.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah. Meet Zoe.
Say hi
yeah.
to Zoe.
Introduced to Zoe. Yeah, it's from Zoe's perspective. She's farting around. She's bothering squirrels and shit, and she spies off in the distance. She kind of makes a point that like she's trying to portal around, but she can't. So I guess the ultimate that we see in game is just her magic being like massively limited. Anyway, she's trying to figure out what's going on with it, but she kind of spies in the distance, like a small like town, I guess, village, walled little settlement, and there's kids there, and the whole thing is kind of written, like I said, like kind of like from an alien's perspective, where she's like, oh yeah, I kind of remember what it was like to be a little kid or whatever, and she's kind of watching them play and is, sort of fascinated with the color of a girl's dress, and is kind of a little attracted, I guess, to like this particularly like interesting
boy.
quote unquote looking
Yeah.
boy, pretty boy, yeah. And so she goes to try and start like interacting with them, and they're like, fuck, it's a spirit, because she's floating around, right? She's just like popping out of nowhere. So they run away and hide, and a bunch of guards come out, and they start throwing spears at Zoe, and she's like, well, I guess I'll just blow this place up. So she throws her cue and blows the whole fucking place up. Is that what actually happens?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's what I got was she sent a paddle star up, went around for a little while, and then she brought it back down and fucking exploded the place.
Yeah, there's talks of like a crater.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So anyway, so once that happens, she's like, oh, I can use my portal. Oh, hey, look, I you know, I guess I'll go fart around some more. Oh, and by the way, there's a world rune around here. I wonder if anyone will find it. And then she just goes off to go do more misadventures.
I don't think she killed everyone because she was saying it would be funny if the kids found the world rune.
I feel
That's
like
the thing.
The
Maybe
thing
she
is,
didn't realize,
she very specifically was like, they probably ran away. I don't think they both ran into a house.
Into a building.
They didn't see
Yeah.
any of this shit happening. Why would they have run further?
That's the thing, right? Because she talked like it's hard because like it says that specifically she blew up this tower that the guards were kind of around. So I don't know, like that's why I had a lot of trouble with this story. It's like, is it supposed to be like Looney Tunes? She blew it up, and then like they all rise, like they sit up out of the rubble with like soot on their face and like birds around their head, and they're like, Zoe. Or did she just kill everyone and she's like weirdly detached and doesn't really get what she's done? Because the way it's written, like I said, it's like
up. If that was it, that's great.
That was my read on it too. Was She just murdered everyone here. It was a very Nico moment for me.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of that story. Where it's like she doesn't, like I said, the way it's written, she's super detached. Like when she first sees the kids, she describes them as like, the male and the female. I was like, that is some shit an alien would say when they're looking at some species they've never seen before.
Yeah.
And the little girl is like, that male with the interesting, you know what I mean? So it's like completely detached from the human experience. And it's like, whatever, I'm playing around. I didn't realize, but she's got to know that she killed everybody, right? Like when she did that.
Like the Zoe in this story, I don't think could be further from the Zoe in her voice lines. I feel like,
yeah, right.
Her voice lines were so like naturally childlike, and this was not that. This was weird.
Like she knows what boys and girls are. Like, I don't understand.
They existed when she was. They're not a new invention.
No, she is a girl. She's a little girl.
Yeah.
So they call her a teen in this, don't they? Or in her bio?
Bio, they say bio's weird. That's another weird thing I was going to mention. That's why I asked how old you think she is, because in the bio they describe her as a young girl, a child, and a teenager. And so and she's got like a burgeoning sort of like interest in boys. So that's why I thought like 12-ish.
12.
Maybe.
I was gonna say, that's kind of how I was imagining.
That makes sense.
But still, now there is a line in here. I wish I could find it. I'm like searching through to find it because it makes a mention of
quotes,
like,
so let me see.
Okay.
What is it about? Maybe I have it.
It was the one where she's like, she kind of remembered what it was like being a kid, right? Where it's like, it had been years. It had been a very long time since Zoe was immortal or had even visited this realm. Where like she's thinking about approaching the kids and she's getting that little bit of anxiety of like, what if they don't like me? And she's like, and I think so. It's written, I guess, as if like, because she's been been this aspect thing for so long and has been like in other places for so long, she's kind of like forgotten what it was like to be, like I said, detached from the human experience, which is like, okay, I guess that's why she's writing like this, but it's still weird.
Yeah,
it doesn't fit for me. And also in the bio said it felt like she was gone for a year and then came back to Runeterra and centuries had passed. So it would feel to her like she's been an aspect for a year plus, right? I mean, maybe more time has passed now, but yeah, that's very true. I don't understand.
I also have a few more pieces of evidence that I wrote down as to why I think she has murdered this whole town.
Oh, I love it. Okay.
Yeah, I was looking through that too.
So, you mentioned she's fucking with squirrels at the beginning of this. One of the things that she did was she was near it and she said the small animal's life pattern flashed in Zoe's brain. It would live only a dozen rotations before returning its spirit, which is apparently just something she can tell by looking at you. And now when she sees the guy she's interested in, she says, the male was also interesting, but in a completely different way. She could tell his current incarnation would be short-lived, but Zoe suspected it would be amazing if he chased her. And I'm curious if, like, she saw that he was going to die very shortly, had no idea how, and then was ultimately the one responsible for it moments later.
I did have trouble figuring out if that meant that or if just, like, he was going to grow up and become, like, an adult. Like, his form was going to change into an adult.
He's bordering puberty. She can sense it.
Yeah, yes, yeah.
She smells it.
She smells it on him.
He's getting
Back
stinky.
to Twilight.
Hold on
I
tight,
forgot
spider
about the
monkey.
little squirrel thing. I mean, there's like other ones. It's like I said, she talks about like there's a new crater and she wonders if it will cause people to like show up. And was it annihilating? Yeah, she blows up the, what was it said? Secondary explosion that thundered through the guards and their tower, annihilating the area into a fine dust. So even if she only blew up the tower, she definitely killed some guards.
She definitely killed those
right?
guards. Yeah. But
Absolutely.
in her
Which
defense,
is
they were
weird.
throwing spears like Pantheon, and Pantheon's super lame, guys.
Yeah, super lame.
So he's so mid.
But
Could you imagine?
actually, you
this?
pick
According to Lald,
Riz.
according to Laldl, he's so mid support jungle and top.
You dork.
But she liked the priest guy or whatever who did a spell. She thought the spell was cool.
I
She did
liked
think the
that
spell was
moment
cool.
a lot,
Yeah.
actually. When she was like, let's see. Yeah, assuming she was a spirit, they screamed warnings while their leader attempted a banishing spell. It was a very good spell, in Zoe's opinion, but not one she wanted. I loved like just the little nod at her, and her in-game abilities there. Just like, that's cool. I'm not going to take it, but it's cool.
I didn't even think of it that
This-
way. That's funny.
Honestly, this whole thing is like I think they get maybe everything except for like her
They
empowered
do.
auto in here.
Yeah, which was very cool. And I liked a lot of it, actually. I liked the that was kind of the one thing about the story I liked, maybe, was the way they the descriptions they gave of her abilities were neat. First of all, the whole power disrupting her teleport, that was the one thing that really gave me more questions about the aspects. So it says like a powerful magic was distorting Zoe's ability to travel. It probably related to whatever change she was supposed to herald, and obviously she hadn't succeeded yet. It was a problem, but not an unfamiliar one. She wasn't really sure what the message was, who it was for, or even what it meant, but in her experience, those details rarely mattered. The holy mathematics wanted to advance, and the messages generally fell into place shortly after she arrived. Which, one, is some quantum leap shit, which is hilarious. Two, it means that there's someone above the aspects pulling the strings, and I don't know who the fuck that is.
Who the fuck knows, man?
I don't know who
And then she was supposed to blow up this town.
That's the other thing. Like, I assume her mission had something to do with the world rune. I don't know.
She had to like uncover it for some reason.
Yeah, like maybe.
Yeah.
So again,
could have been
Bring
another
attention
way.
to it.
yeah,
She
like
didn't have
since
to
we
blow up the
don't
town.
know who's pulling the strings, like maybe she wanted to blow it up to draw the attention of someone like Rise who would come and collect it. Or maybe whoever's pulling the strings hates people like Rise, and it was the point was to raise visibility so other people would come try and get it. Or like maybe they were gonna use it, so she was gonna blow up.
We
Who
all know
fucking
who
knows?
it is. We
All
know
sorts
who's
of
pulling
questions.
the strings. It's a pale lady.
No, because this looks like it's working.
That's true. This is working. Horrible. She's gonna get you in your sleep tonight.
She'll try.
Don't worry about it. I wouldn't lose a fucking wink over
So
it.
fucking mean.
The other ability
That's
they
an
had
interesting
here, they said so she cast her bubble on the squirrel because she wanted to pet it and it didn't want her to. The small creature fell into the tired, restful sleep of the previous evening as its past spiritual and mental state overwhelmed its current consciousness. And that's such a weird fucking... Is that how the bubble... It's like a time bubble
Right.
that brings you back to the last time that you were asleep
That is
and just
strange.
makes you sleepy again.
It's neat. Yeah,
It's
like
like
the
I-
whole first two paragraphs
Yeah.
are describing her just the feeling of her using her ultimate, right? Like just trying to get into the portal and popping back out. Right?
I'll say a problem I have with this is something similar with Annie, in that I don't think they know how kids act. And so she feels like very different ages, kind of depending. This does not seem like a 13-year-old to me, I guess. I don't know. This seems like someone who would be not much older than our toddlers, a little bit.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
like she
know.
doesn't-
She
exactly,
acts very
right.
young.
That she wouldn't-
yeah.
That she wouldn't get that a squirrel doesn't want to be petted
Yes,
and
like
shit,
that's what it's
you know?
seeming like, is she doesn't understand. that a squirrel, and whereas a 13-year-old be like, yeah, you can't pet a squirrel, they're gonna run from you. Even if she has been a god for a year or whatever. I think she'd still remember that. Yeah, I don't know.
That's what. Yeah, like that's the thing. Like that's why I was really trying to pin down her age, because if she was younger, like a proper child, it would feel more like like a 6-year-old maybe. I could see where they ask like, I want to pet the squirrel, and you say no, and they're like, why? And it's like, well, because I don't want, like they understand enough to like ask that question, but they you can't really actually explain it to them.
They also don't have like the consequences worked out quite yet, so her blowing up a town would make a lot more sense, and then not understanding that the people were dead, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. If that's supposed to be what happened, and I guess like more to the core of the issue is that like we shouldn't be having this discussion of trying to figure out, did she just kill a bunch of people? Like it should be very clear whether she did or didn't,
Which I guess my one thing on that is that we are getting this through her perspective, so maybe I can forgive not knowing for sure, just because like
I guess I think
it would kind of highlight the fact that she doesn't really get it.
It's from her perspective, but we are getting information outside of that. Like this isn't specifically her point of view. You know what I mean? As a writer, like that would make a lot more sense. But like, the narrator is giving us more than just Zoe.
Yeah, and even if it's from her perspective, like it should still be written in a way that we can understand what's happening.
An example I would give is bodies.
Yeah, something like that, or not, right? Like like if you look at the example I'd give is like, remember that Nar story where he hulked out and killed something, and then afterwards was like, oh, I gotta go put a blanket on it because it's asleep. Like we as the reader know that thing is dead, even though Nar does not, right? So like something like that. I'm fine either. I guess I'm fine either way. I kind of prefer the more Looney Tunes solution. I think her killing a bunch of people is like tonally bizarre almost.
It is.
Which I love. That's the direction I want.
Like I said, but like it's like I said, Twilight of the Gods, like I think works way better for like a dark direction with the chaos trickster whatever aspect thing. It's just like it was just weird to me. This whole thing was kind of like just weird to me. I don't know.
And I think her using her abilities, I think in Twilight of the Gods intentionally like that, as opposed to kind of this one, which seemed like unintentional, the chaos and explosion. The intentionality in Twilight of the Gods makes her seem way more like the daughter in Everything Everywhere All at Once. Just like that level of chaos and also like vindictiveness.
I like that comparison a lot, actually.
Yeah, that's a very interesting one. Yeah.
And she even has a quote about donut holes, which, is close enough to a bagel.
Yeah, I fucking love a donut right now, dude.
Dude. I'll eat the whole of a donut so fucking fast. Don't even get me started, man.
Shit, dude. Careful, Mark's gonna eat your donut hole real quick.
I need.
Okay, he made it worse.
Admittedly, yes.
This is what you signed up for, and you knew it. Anyway, Twilight of the Gods, Graham McNeil.
Yeah, sure. So I'll be honest, I didn't really reread this one for this. I just kind of re-skimmed it. I remember the broad strokes. Maybe, I assume you had, John, but like
I did,
the setup is way back in ancient Shurima when the Darken is like during the Darken Wars, or maybe kind of near their end, as we're gonna see. And it's
sorry, you mean the fighting of the sun-touched lovely warriors?
Oh my god!
Yeah, the little squabbles of the sun-touched good boys. The sun-blessed babies.
I feel like that's what boy moms call their kids every day.
Ooh, damn.
Fuck you, Karen.
You're a shitty kid.
Yeah, it follows this guy. I remember not even remembering his name when we did this, like, originally for, like, I don't know, Nasus, I want to say. It was when we kind of got into the thick of this one.
It's either Tanari or Ta'anari.
Yeah, we'll go with Tanari. Tanari sounds right. Tanari, he's one of the Darken. He's called them all into, like, a big sit-down meeting because they're fucking each other up and they're kind of ruining the world and they're squabbling and they were once great. But for Zoe's part, there is is she a young woman or is she still a girl?
It's impossible to tell because the Ascended's perception of people is...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, why can't these characters know what people are?
We have
They're
to-
around you all the fucking time. How do you not know what a person is or what it looks like?
She's frail. We know that much. That's
frail.
They've
that's
all
their
been
main...
people. One,
Well, that was
They got vulnerable necks.
the Ascended and the Aspect have all been humans. And they're around them 24/7. Anyway,
It's true.
sorry.
It's true. He does.
Yeah,
It's fine. It don't
she's
matter.
not as strong
Her name
as
is-
his host.
Great.
Yeah, that's all it is. She's 5 blade lengths tall.
God,
Her name is-
5 Ascended blade lengths is huge. Come on.
Pretty big. Her name is it Mish? It's Mysha. So Misha, or is it just Misha?
My guess is it's
Is there a
just
difference
Misha. In
in what
my
I've just
head, I
said?
was always pronouncing it like Maisha, but I think I think it
Maisha.
probably is Misha.
We'll go with Mysha. I
Mysha.
like that better. Mysha.
Mysha.
I like Mysha. Mysha.
Mate.
Mysha has been like, for some reason, kind of hanging out with this Darken guy and has kind of convinced him to do all of this. And it's a big to-do. He gets into a big fight with one of the other Darken, and it kind of comes out that Mysha has given him some powers that allow him to, kind of stop the other Darken, and a big whole thing happens. Some of them are killed, some of them escape, some of them, he himself is just turned mortal again. And at the end of it, the big turn is that Maisha is kind of standing over him as he's all frail and human and injured, and is like, well, now we've got the power to deal with the Darken. The mortals will now have the ability to kind of take their power, put them in their weapons, and I've orchestrated all of this because I am Maisha. She doesn't say this, obviously, but I'm Maisha, the aspect of the Twilight. Right?
Or is it Misha? I'm not sure.
Misha.
My name is
Maisha?
something.
A train goes by.
Big M.
Big M. Oh,
Yeah.
I love that.
So anyway, so the setup is that Big M had sort of set everything up so that the Darken could be put to bed, as it were. And that's why the Darken are now in their weapons, is from this power that uses the power of the Aspects and Targon and Maisha. The Aspect of the Twilight did all this, which seems like way more planning and organized thought and less chaos. It's really not like Zoe at all. It is. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand. The Aspect of the Twilight said that Zoe reminded her of Misha, so where's that coming from? They needed to have Misha kick a ball in someone's face, and then I would have been able to connect the two.
Or this story's super dramatic and heavy and serious, right? And Tanari is sitting there. He's giving this big monologue in front of the assembled 10,000 slave host or whatever. And I just want the Maisha character constantly interrupting his ass.
Just spitting spitballs at him.
Right? It's like that one kid at any story time or whatever who just will not do whatever the fuck needs to happen and is constantly wandering around and taking the instructor's book or whatever. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
like I said, I don't know. Go ahead.
I have a bunch of random notes about this one. Some
Sure.
related to Aspect of Twilight, some not. First, and there's a few things I didn't catch the first time around. One, Tanari mentioned that I think he was describing Maisha here, that they had gold blonde hair like the men found in the cold north, which spilled around her shoulders, which I feel like is the first time it's even been referenced that an Ascended has made it to the Freljord.
Well, I know that, I think it's Lysandra's bio. It's mentioned that Cyrilda got her shit fucked up by the Aspect of the Twilight specifically.
Oh.
Yes. Because she tried to harness the power of the heavens.
And Maisha came in and just beat the shit out of her.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I lied. Aatrox has definitely been to Freljord, so I don't know what I'm talking about.
Oh,
Ignore me.
it's okay.
Well,
It also mentioned her features were youthful, but her eyes, one rich blue, the other twilight purple, held wisdom beyond the years. And like, man, calling her eye twilight purple, he was so fucking close to pegging it, and he just couldn't finish it, you know? I liked this bit. It said, Ta'anari had no clear recollection of Maisha entering his service. The lives of mortals were so fleeting, he barely noticed when one died and another took their place. But Maisha had drawn his notice more than any other. Her defiant insolence was part of it, but there was more to it than that. She had an insight into the minds of mortals that he and all his kind lacked since trading their humanity for greater power. Which, I liked a few things here. I love the idea that Maisha's actually been with him for, like, centuries. And since that's such, like, a small amount of time to him, he didn't find it weird that there was just this one person with him for centuries, since all the mortals are just interchangeable to him. But also, the idea, the idea that she had such an insight into humans is so hilariously against what we just read in Meet Zoe.
It's true.
I mean, maybe that's Zoe. I don't know. Maybe Maisha was a lot more down to earth, but they do seem very different. I don't know.
Now, this is completely not related to the aspect of Twilight, but another thing that was interesting that I missed here the first time. So, Tanari, like, his spine was all bent from a big battle. And it said his spine was twisted after an axe blow taken during the Battle of the River Kalik, which, if you remember, the Sai Kalik is just this massive-ass desert now. So apparently, at one point, that thing was just like a big ol' ass river.
Interesting.
And interestingly, there is one river near the Sai Kalik called the River Renek. So I'm curious if that's the same one, if it was just renamed Renek after, Renekton is, I guess, one of the, or I guess maybe renamed after his big sacrifice, or I don't know. There was a lot of interesting story building in that one sentence that was neat, but
no, I agree.
Whole stories, so we could.
No, I think that's a really neat detail, frankly, because something we see with Azir, right, is now that he's back, rivers are flowing again. It'd be neat to see rivers, like, if the Cyclic suddenly had this big river flowing through it that hadn't been around for centuries, right?
So, this is another thing that he said about Maisha. Sometimes he sensed a measure of pity from her. At other times, a withering contempt. Which I get, because, she's apparently trying to do her thing here so that she can do her jump to her next body, and whatever she's doing is taking fucking forever. She just wanted to stop in and then teleport over to get an ice cream from somewhere else, and she's been here for 3 fucking centuries now.
Right. He's giving his monologue. She's like, get fucking on with it.
I think we mentioned this when we read this for Nasus, but I forget. So one of the powers that Maisha gives him is the ability to teleport like she does, to kind of use portals to kind of jump from one place to another, which he ends up using in his fight against, one of his brethren, to teleport out of the way of an attack and then jump onto his back. But the description they gave said he blinked. A terrible sensation of hurtling through an unending vortex overcame him, a tunnel surrounded by hideous monsters that lurked just beyond the threshold. Which, like, I'm real curious now if the portals that Zoe takes, like, do they go through the void? Like, is that how they get from one place to another so fast? Like, it had very big, like, very big Nightcrawler vibes,
I was thinking
kind
Nightcrawler,
of, right?
yeah.
I think we made the exact same comparison
I think so.
back then, yeah. Yeah, I forgot. I kind of forgot about that. That is interesting. It's not really described that way in the short story, and then that's been some time talking about her going into the portals. It seems that one in that short story at least reads sort of like a, like Portal, where it's just like you step into it and you just are immediately through it. But who knows, right? Different writers, or her magic was tamped down. Maybe it's
she intentionally taught him the bad portal spell.
Right.
We have taught him incorrectly as a joke.
The monsters aren't even real. Just
that'd be fucking funny.
So at the end, the whole thing that she did, she taught Tanari essentially an altered version of Moonfall, like Diana's Moonfall spell that could strip strip someone of their ascendedness and also just kind of fucking destroy them. And she yells out, "What the sun made, the moon will unmake," which I feel like was a nice... So you can correct me if I'm wrong here. I don't remember a ton about the Rakor specifically. I know that they are Targonian, but are all the Rakor specifically Lunari? Because I didn't think they were.
I mean, or do you mean Solari? Or
No,
or did you mean Lunari?
Yeah, so I know in her original lore, she's actually specifically a Lunari. That. In fact, her updated lore, they have not changed
Zoe?
a lot. Yeah. Zoe's updated lore, they have not changed a lot. The one thing they really changed was that now she's a Rakor instead of specifically a Lunari. But
I didn't realize she had old lore. I didn't actually look for it. I assumed this was it.
They really did not change much. The two things they changed, instead of a Rakor, she was a Lunari, and instead of just liking Aurelian's soul and being like, "I'm going to protect you," she was very specifically protecting him from Pantheon.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, interesting.
Just because Pantheon's a butthead?
I guess, yeah. He said protecting him and his stars from Pantheon. So I don't know. I don't know. And I don't know if it's at all tied to the fact that Pantheon's stars disappeared when he was murdered or not. Doesn't seem like that would necessarily be something Aurelian's soul would even care about, but yeah, I don't know. But those are the only two changes from the old lore. And I'm curious if this was a more recent story, but I feel like the fact that she is kind of teaching him Lunari magic essentially was more of a nod to her original lore.
Yeah. I mean, maybe. I don't know about the Rakor question, to be frank with you. It's, I guess, I don't know. With the Rakor, I guess I always read it as they were just Solari and Lunari, and they kind of worked in harmony. And that's kind of the way I read it from this story, is that, when things are working harmoniously, they can handle any problem, right? The sun can grant these powers, and then the moon can be there to take them back. I don't know. That is a very interesting thing. Like I said, I didn't even look to see if she had old lore. It's she's pretty up to date. It seems like where it's at. I can imagine there'd be this old version. I wonder why they changed that.
I know.
Maybe they didn't want to tie her so hard into the Lunari Solari conflict, but I don't know. So when you say she was a Lunari, you mean Zoe, the original normal girl living on Targon, right?
Yeah. Because a lot of they were the Rakor priestess, and they just basically they control F'd every instance of the word Lunari and replaced it with Rakor.
Yeah, I guess it's the Lunari as they were kind of written now don't really. I don't want to say don't exist, but they're all in hiding, right? So it's how is she going to be? It probably is it doesn't make a lot of sense to have her do that and then still give her the being chased by priests. I don't know. I'd have to read the old lore.
Yeah,
I'm kind of curious
weird.
now.
The only other things I had here was, so it was, we mentioned that kind of the Aspect of Twilight, Maisha gave mortals the ability to seal darkens in weapons, but it was specifically Ta'anari's 3 warrior former queens. All right, I'm going to try this. Teushpa, Sulpai, and Idrimi.
Sounds good.
I think I did all 3 in just the worst way possible. But
beautiful.
they're the ones that actually carry away the duty of commending their weaponsmiths to seal away the Darken under Maisha's tutelage. She teaches them how to do it. And then at the end of the story, the Chalakar, which, one of the things we didn't specifically talk about was part of this whole plan was that Maisha told Ta'anari how to find Nasus, who had been missing basically since the fall of the Sun Disk. He was still guarding all sorts of ancient knowledge, but no one had been in contact with him. So she told Ta'anari how to get in touch with him. Nasus told them how to find the Chalakar, which is Sivir's weapon. Was the weapon of, I forget her name, but, the big head of the Ascended Host.
Nope, can't remember.
Yeah, and, that was a big old powerful weapon. Kind of whoever has it is in charge, it seemed like. Because one of the reasons they attacked his, I guess, brethren attacked Ta'anari when he showed the Chalakar, was like, oh, I see what this is. Like, you've got the Chalakar, and now you want to lead us? Nah, fuck that. Let's fight. But so at the end of all of that, Maisha cuts open Ta'anari, now that he's a human, just kind of like slices him open with the Chalakar, rips his heart out, and now it has essentially the darkened DNA essence, which combined with Ta'anari's heart is what allows humans to craft the weapons that are tailored to trap the Darken. And it is also what would later cause Sivir's blood to resurrect Azir.
Sure. That one's a stretch, I think. But...
Well, they needed some way to bring him back. Sure, this story wasn't written when that happened, but whatever.
Whatever works.
Right? Now, she's mentioned in a few other stories, too. So one of the things we mentioned, she shows up in the Ice Witch, which is the Lysandra bio, where we find out that Cyrilda lost her voice to the Aspect of Twilight for attempting to command the powers of the heavens. And it does specifically say she lost it to the first Twilight.
Oh.
So, maybe the first ever, or maybe that was just the name they were going by. Who knows? She shows up in the Darken Blade, where it's mentioned that the Aspect of Twilight gave mortals the magic they needed to seal the Darken. And then she shows up, interestingly, in the Ancient Fear, which is the Fiddlesticks bio, where an old Targonian legend speaks of how a child of Twilight stole the only joy from a ragged, whispering horror, which is likely tied to the key she always carries around with her, and kind of the empty cage in Fiddlestick's belly.
Yeah, I remember this key thing.
And this was actually something, so original Fiddlesticks also had a key around his neck. This is something that's actually maybe the one thing that has carried through between his rework is the idea of this key.
Yeah. Do you think he'll ever get followed up on? Why do I even ask?
I know, right? We can ask that about everything.
They do in Star Guardian. Does that count?
Kinda. Yeah.
Then
I'm
yes,
curious
they will.
Now. You piqued my interest.
Yeah. So that's all the canon stuff. She does show up in one cinematic, A New Journey, inspired by the true story of Michelle, a university student and League of Legends player who joined a team and joined the fight. In some of the battle footage in this, she's fighting Zoe as Yasuo. So, which as I'm thinking about it, man, that's got to be annoying as Yasuo. Put up a fucking wind wall and she just portals around it. It's like, get fucked.
Yeah, I'm curious. I don't know. I don't know that matchup.
Oops.
So she's part of not a ton of AUs, just a handful.
However,
the one big one. We'll save that one.
Yep.
First, we got Project Cyberpop. In the vibrant underground of Sound City, hackers, skaters, rebels, and rogues band together away from the prying eyes of powerful cyber corporate overlords. And this is Cyberpop Zoe, which has no lore. But
Oh, really?
I know, right?
It's not that old.
I know, it's fairly new. But I guess as a fun fact on this one, her death screen features the old death recap. So, that's neat.
Wait, what?
Or her death animation, rather.
What's a death recap?
You know how the old
Okay.
school like death recap where like you I mean they have it now still, but you die and you can see like who killed me, where did the damage come from. And
Just used to look different.
yeah. And part of her death animation is that it pulls up like you see a death recap of but it's the old
Okay.
school one.
I thought you were saying it just used the old one like a bug or something.
They just never fixed it.
That would be pretty funny. Next up, we got Sun-Kissed Summer Pool Party. It's summer, baby. The sun's out, the breeze is warm, and the water's cool. Everybody's leaving their rivalries and grudges at home and bringing only swimsuits and good vibes. There'll be plenty of time for punching and yelling later. Just sit back, enjoy the music, and soak up the fun. This is Pool Party Zoe. Who let this ageless cosmic child in here unattended? This is a public pool, not some sort of ageless cosmic daycare.
Okay.
And there's a level up animation for this, for Legends of Runeterra. Just for the record, cannonballing into the sea after slingshotting yourself around a nearby star is 100% not a cool move. Also, just for the record, neither is getting your pal Stomper to follow you. And fun fact about this one, I'm pretty sure Zoe destroys one of Heimerdinger's brilliant sandcastles in this, according to his Legend of Runeterra level up quote. Where he's waxing poetic about his great sandcastle, and then at the end he's like, Zoe!
What a bully.
Right?
And he just got done talking about how all he had to do was protect his sandcastles from Syndra, who had destroyed his previous ones.
They're all kicking sand in his face. Get out of here, you fucking nerd.
I mean, don't do that. Remember, Pool Party Heimerdinger is swole as fuck for no reason.
Yes.
Remember that fucking Yordle six-pack he's packing?
I know I use it every time I play Heimerdinger and ARAM.
I use it for other stuff. Next up, we have Arcanist. Right outside the academy doors.
Honey, we should share this together. I mean, if you wanna bring the dinger donger in the bedroom.
That's a level of trust right there.
It's gone mad.
Smaller than the diagram.
I wasn't gonna do that to you.
I appreciate it. Right outside the academy doors is a world filled with magic and danger. The professors caution the young wizards and witches to stay within the safety of the school grounds, grow their power, and study well. But where's the fun in that when adventure awaits just beyond the bend? This is Arcanist Zoe. A promising student of magic at the Arcanist Academy, Zoe has ignored the advice of her headmaster and embarked upon a grand adventure the likes of which she's utterly unprepared for. Considering her penchant for sowing chaos wherever she goes, the world might be more unprepared than she is. And this has a prestige, but unfortunately, it's back when prestige just furthered the story. We're not getting a runway prestige on this one, I'm sorry.
Bummer.
Having temporarily outsmarted the mad Arcanist Shaco and absconded with his precious tome of magic, Zoe's power has been elevated beyond even some of her instructors. Her instructors are extremely worried about this. Most people are extremely worried about this. And there's a short cinematic associated with this called The Unlikely Companions, where Zoe and Kog'Maw are journeying through a magical world and confront the Dark Wizard Shaco. It seems like Kog'Maw is attacking Zoe at the start of this video, but Zoe just finds him too cute, so adopts him as a traveling companion. Next up, we got Tales of Borealis. When the air grows crisp and the first snow falls, look to the sky, for Polaris will appear. Do not be afraid, for if you've been virtuous without expectation, you might be rewarded with the Aurora's blessings. But remember, no matter how you act, you cannot take your fortunes for granted, because Polaris comes every year, and no one escapes punishment. This one is Winter Blessed Zoe, An impatient warden Zoe strode past the waiting sage to make her plea. Everyone relied on her flock and crops, and her harvest would be unequaled without the Aurora's blessings. Polaris considered the three leaders' wishes, and with a wave of her hand, conjured the Aurora into two shapes, a sinewy mass of teeth and fur, and a tireless, smiling soldier. And as we talked about last week, for Zillion, this is kind of meant to be read in order from, the skin bios for everyone who's part of the skin line. And the basic story is that Diana's the Polaris, Swain, who's a hunter, Zillion, and Zoe, who's a warden, asks for her gifts, and after hearing their pleas, she creates Warwick and Shaco for them, but they don't want to share. So they argue, and then Diana's like, fuck y'all. Winter's cruel, warmth is meant to be shared, and then she leaves and basically nods at Shaco and Warwick to be like, you do whatever you want with them, and it's implied it's not good things that they want to do.
Oh. These skins are really cute, though. I like them.
But the skins are real
Yeah, they're cool.
Yeah. Whew.
All right, y'all, you ready to strap in?
Yes.
There's a lot here. All right. Star Guardian, Season 3, specifically. Ari's old squad resurfaces, changed from the events that once tore them apart, and followed by a threat beyond anything the Star Guardians have ever faced. Can the group move past old grudges and save themselves from annihilation, or will they simply be the next victims of the Twilight Star? This is Star Guardian Zoe. A member of the ancient first group of Star Guardians, Zoe's heart desired not love, but chaos, twisting her newfound power into a malignant expression of cosmic madness. After numberless eons of hunting the first stars chosen, she's finally come to Valoran City, hoping to destroy the latest generation of Guardians, as she has countless others. And she's got a magical medium, Ran. Appearances can be deceiving. Zoe's childlike air disguises a chaotic and destructive evil. Ran, similarly, could be confused for a colorful plushie brought to life. With a sparkling glimmer in its eye and a devious smile, it dreams of wreaking havoc across the galaxy. Now, there's a few cinematics that Zoe pops up in. First up is a New Horizon, which she's not specifically mentioned in, but Ari does hold up the 3 Star Guardian medallions of her last team, who were kind of beaten by Zoe, killed, kind of. We'll get to it. And then she shows up more directly in Light and Shadow, where Nico is trying to escape from Zaya and Rakan, who Zoe has corrupted. And when she almost escapes, Zoe pulls her back to where she started. They all fight. There's a big to-do. And Nico's about to give in to Zoe's corruption, but then Ari shows up to save the day.
Yay!
By busting through a wall and then doing stuff. I guess. It's unclear what happens after that. The cinematic ends.
I love stuff.
Give me more stuff and things.
Yeah. I guess we can kind of assume from what happens later that Ari only actually rescues Nico from this situation. Because Zaya, Rakan, and Zoe are very shortly after this fighting the rest of the Star Guardians, while Ari and Nico are both still gone. So now we have some short stories. First off, the Twilight Star. Lux's crew is hanging out with Misfortune on a playground when they're attacked by Zoe, which is actually interesting because Ari isn't here because she's busy locating Zaya, Rakan, and Nico, who are also being bullied by Zoe at the time. So Zoe is an efficient bullier across all planes of existence, just bullying people from everywhere all at the same time. They do manage to fight her off for now, though. She just kind of seems like she was toying with him anyway.
I was going to ask, is this sort of like this is like the first boss fight, right?
Yeah. And then we have Star Call, where she's, again, not in this, but Ari is hella jaded about joining with another team of Star Guardians. Lux is like, oh, you're really good at this. Like, we should join up and be a big team of Star Guardians. That's what being a Star Guardian is all about, teamwork and sisterhood. And she's like, no, it's not.
Oh, okay.
She's like, but it's our destiny. And she's like, fuck destiny, get fucked. And then just walks out. Because, this is her second team. Lux doesn't know. Lux doesn't know that this is her backup team, and her original team all died under her watch. I guess not all died. Miss Fortune was also part of her original team, but most of them died.
It happens.
It happens. More often than, you'd think with Star Guardians, I guess. And then we have Twin Stars, where she is directly in it. Zoe is attacking Valorant City with Zaya and Rakan. Kind of, Zaya and Rakan seem to just be there for distractions, really, because Zoe's literally bringing down stars and comets and shit onto Valorant, and Zaya and Rakan are kind of bantering with the Star Guardian, so I don't feel like she needs their help. This is just for funsies for her.
She doesn't even need them at all, it sounds like.
No, not even a little bit. In fact, they end up being way more of a liability than anything. She should not have brought them. So Lux's team and Ari's new team, minus Ari, fight them with a little help from Akali and Kaisa, who at this point are small children.
Weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's also seen in this story that Zoe and Syndra can go toe-to-toe with each other, which seems bonkers to Miss Fortune, because Miss Fortune has fought Zoe before and saw Zoe kill like her whole team other than Ari, and Syndra's just a Star Guardian who happens to be on their team. She's like, the fuck? How strong are you? They don't know much about Syndra.
Yeah, I remember those. Yeah.
Yeah. So Zoe spends a lot of the fight just trying to turn Zaya against her old teammates, which does not take a lot of pushing, because Zaya already is pretty pissed off at her old teammates, mostly because she wasn't technically dead when Ari and Miss Fortune left. So they all fought. Rakan had died, Nico had died, and Zaya was dying, but was still alive. And Ari was like, shit, we're all gonna die here, huh? Like, Miss Fortune, we gotta go. And Miss Fortune's like, no, but Zaya. And she's like, now we gotta go. Zaya has not forgotten that.
I wouldn't either.
But Zoe's still poking anyway. So let's see. At one point, Kaisa pops up to give an inspirational speech about how friendship and teamwork and all that stuff. And
Perfect.
Don't give up. Zoe gets very mad at this. Especially because she keeps trying to, she's like, hey, shut up. And Kaisa doesn't listen. She's like, no, really, hey, do what I say. And she's not listening, and that's making Zoe really mad. At this point, Ari and Nico show up and join the fight too. This makes Zoe extra mad.
Oh, no.
So she turns temporarily invincible and super big and super strong, which I guess is just a thing she can do when she loses control.
Just the
It's
avatar.
like a good deal, I guess.
Sure, yeah.
Eventually, so she part of this is that she does have power-up time. She's invulnerable while she's powering up, but she does have her 3 Dragon Ball Z episodes of charge-up time before she can use this power, so...
Only 3? Damn. It's quick.
While this is happening, Ari's team manages to talk Rakan into siding with them. Because Zaya's, full corrupted, but Rakan's just kind of partially corrupted. He kind of sees... He's still kind of there. So, yeah, he's able to fight off Zoe's corruption. Zaya resists the corruption for a bit, too, but then kind of gets... It looks like the corruption's really taken over her body, and she's about to be fully gone, and Rakan sacrifices himself to save her, basically. He takes on her corruption, and then all the Guardians make this big coordinated attack against Zoe, and it all concludes with Rakan piercing through her using the power of the other Star Guardians and Zaya's corruption and Zoe's magic, which does the trick. He's presumed dead. We'll later see that that's not the case. Zoe disappears, so Syndra disappears after her to survey planets for signs of her, because she knows she's not really dead either, so... and there's some comics that follow this called Star-Crossed, where Zaya, she's not corrupted anymore. She's still sure as hell not happy with Ari and Miss Fortune not joining their team, and she wants to find Rakan, so she decides to make her own Star Guardian team. So she's off recruiting Star Guardians. We do see the final moments of her initial fight with Zoe as Rakan's dead next to her, Nico's dying, and then Ari's pulling Misfortune away to save her life. So, you know, Zoe's not in the comic much, but we kind of see some flashback scenes where she pops up like that one. Also, Rakan's the main antagonist, but he talks about Zoe a lot. And as Rakan says, good old Zoe. We don't talk, obviously. She killed me. I killed her. We're both still alive. It's very complicated. After she recruits her team, we find out that she still has some of Zoe's corruption in her. Rakan did not take it all out, but she has found a way to harness this power and combine it with the light power of the Star Guardians to create extra strong power, which she uses to save Rakan.
Nice.
Slick.
Spoiler alert. And then finally, she shows up in the visual novel, Another Sky. So in the aftermath of Twin Stars, Kali and Kaisa become full-fledged Star Guardians. You know, they're, I feel like high school age now. And kind of Kaisa's leading her own team. But a new threat looms in Valorant City. It's Fiddlesticks. Kaisa meets with Syndra, who's accompanied by Zoe. It's kind of like a secret meetup. Like, Syndra's like, oh, meet me at this ramen place. So Kaisa shows up and Zoe's there. It's like, whoa, what the fuck? They're shocked. One, to see her alive, since they all think Rakan actually killed her. But also surprised because Syndra's just kind of chilling with her and not trying to kill her. Syndra explains that they are temporarily working together to face a mutual threat, Fiddlesticks, who has been targeting Star Guardians since Syndra and Zoe's time, which, as you remember, they were the first team of Star Guardians, so it's been a while. And now, Fiddlesticks has just become too powerful for either of them to confront alone. So Syndra proposes joining forces with Kaisa's team to eradicate Fiddlesticks once and for all, which is a plan that Kaisa's like, yeah, cool. Now, Akali, who is best friends, maybe girlfriends. I don't think it's ever actually specifically. I'm going to go with girlfriends, though. It seemed kind of much closer to that in the stories. Kali was eavesdropping the whole time and is pretty pissed because, you know, they were both there when Zoe destroyed their home. So she's got some strong feelings about Zoe. We find out that Syndra's original team included herself, Zoe, Akshan, Gwen, and Harp.
Just the random not.
You're never going to believe this. Harp did
And
survive.
Bill. He was there too.
So Harp succumbed to the fate of all Star Guardians, which is falling as dictated by the first star. And I feel like they never 100% define what this means.
Yeah.
Like, but if she succumbed to the fate of falling and then became Fiddlesticks, then maybe like, I don't know. That's what falling is. You just get hella corrupted. Who knows? So the whole reason that Zoe was killing and resurrecting Guardians was to basically annul their contract with the first star and thus avoid falling. So I guess just like, yeah, you're still corrupted, but not that much.
She's a hero.
She's a hero. Fiddlesticks ends up launching an attack on the city, catching the attention of Syndra and Zoe, so they engage it in combat. They're assisted by Kaisa and her team, who, despite lingering doubts about trusting Zoe, must set aside their differences to defeat the common threat. Now, Fiddlesticks teleports the Guardians to its chaos dimension, where it wields its peak power. So, you know, despite their relentless attacks, the Guardians struggle to gain any upper hand until Akali notices a Star Guardian familiar trapped within Fiddlesticks' caged-like form. In a fierce battle, the Guardians focus all their power on freeing the familiar, eventually defeating Fiddlesticks. Now, from the remnants of the monster emerges a girl, immediately recognized by Syndra and Zoe as Harp, their fallen friend. Zoe tearfully apologizes to Harp for failing to save her. Harp also apologizes for believing she could kind of continue on after falling. Syndra reveals to the group that Harp was the first Star Guardian to fall, leading to her transformation into Fiddlesticks. But now Harp begins to fade, so she reassures Zoe of their everlasting friendship And with the threat eliminated, Zoe thanks the Guardians for helping save her friend and leaves, but she does promise to return and wreak more havoc. After that whole like event, there's a few epilogue scenes in the thing. The first one is directly after Twin Stars, before basically the whole visual novel starts. And this one is right after the invasion. Zoe notices that her powers have diminished, and Syndra has found her. Syndra mocks her fall from power and is like, I can just finish you off at any point. But instead of doing that, because Zoe is now kind of less corrupted, she now understands what she is. She's like, oh, was I the baddie? So Zoe asks Syndra, Zoe asks Syndra why she had not acted sooner, to which Syndra responded that Zoe only became the way she was because of the first star. So I guess like she's like, you probably could have killed me. Why didn't you? And Syndra was like, well, this isn't your fault. The first star is the big old asshole here. Like, Zoe then questions if Syndra intends to team up with her to confront it, though Syndra states her goals are far different. But she does propose one last mission together, laying Harp to rest, which, kind of leads to the team up that we see later. And then the second epilogue act is after the whole fight and everything. This is Zoe reflecting on Harp's last words at the Winter Festival. She contemplates destroying the city once again, as she had done once, but then she was stopped in her thoughts by Rel, one of the other Star Guardians who exists here. Rel, who never actually met Zoe, was kind of oblivious to who she was talking to. They had a great conversation. And throughout the conversation, Zoe just becomes less mad. She's, just like enjoying the conversation. And she's like, okay, yeah, all right, I'm cool now. And then she leaves and then promises to kill Rel last next time she comes back. So she's basically a good guy now.
Yeah, for sure.
That was Star Guardian.
Nice.
Very nice.
Thanks for doing all that again, honey.
No problem. We got one last one here, which you may be surprised if you were looking at her.
Have any more skin? Yeah, I did look at them all.
Storycraft.
What the fuck is it?
Long ago, the defeat of the great beast Galio gave rise to Lunar New Year traditions that are carried on through the retelling of that epic tale. Within the story itself lies a living world all its own, but when the world of the story is suddenly interrupted, the characters must work together to fix the mess and see their own myth through. This is Mythmaker Zoe, a Wild Rift exclusive.
Oh.
Okay.
Dissatisfied with their dress rehearsal performance, director Zoe decided method acting would do them some good. So she used her magic to send her performers into the paper world of the play itself. She's now too busy running from her annoyed actors to do much directing, but she's more than pleased with their newfound vigor.
That's fun.
This was cute.
I got some fun facts for you. You want some fun facts?
Sure.
Of course.
Zoe is voiced by Erica Lindbeck in League of Legends and Legends of Runeterra. And Talia, Morgana, and Coven Morgana are voiced by the same lady, and the Golden Sister from Legends of Runeterra, also voiced by her.
Holy crap.
Oh, wow.
It's a range.
Right.
Doing that work. Yeah.
I know. I was going to say Zoe and
Morgana.
Just specifically, like very, very different sides. Just got to think for aspects, I guess.
I'm an aspect man myself,
Every time. I multiple times mistyped aspects with 2 S's when I was, and it wasn't like I was on my phone and I messed it up. Like, no, I was fully typing.
I mean, I guess to be fair, there's some cheeked up aspects out there, so. During development, she was called Mirror Mage because some of her early concepts incorporated mirrors from that portal jumping.
Interesting.
Zoe's in-game teaser would spawn a sleepy trouble bubble on both Summoner's Rift bases at the beginning of the game.
Oh, I don't think I was playing then.
Right, that was like...
that.
Yeah, that was...
2017, we had just moved back east, really.
Yeah, I was going to say, depending on when it was, we might have been on the trail.
That's true.
During development, Zoe looked stranger and more mysterious. Apparent age jumped around a lot between 8 and 20. Odin Austin Schaefer, whose summoner name, by the way, is Warg Bobo, argued strongly for her to appear older or younger, since her looking halfway between might be problematic. So in the end, Zoe's physical features were disproportionately designed, much like Annie, to show her detailed expressions and have her character read more easily as a child. During development, one of Zoe's passives was similar to Corky's old The Package, rest in peace. Zoe would bring a giant water balloon into a fight that could flood a section of jungle and put multiple enemies to sleep.
Interesting.
Zoe was likely born between 1550, or I guess between 1550 and 1400 years ago, between the Darken War and Mordekaiser's second reign. However, barely a year has passed for her, so she remains physically and mentally a young teenager.
All right.
And she likes eating chocolate mooncakes.
Who doesn't?
She also likes butterflies, unicorns, and watching the end of finite realities.
So unicorns exist. In this.
I got the Stellacorns.
I was going to say, they kind of... Although apparently unicorns, too.
Different.
They've got Stellacorns and unicorns, I guess. Her scarf is knitted from the wool of an urbach.
The fuck is that?
Something with wool. Zoe was the second release champion from the Lunari Order.
Oh, and they removed that.
She can change her eye color on a whim. As both a trickster and a herald, many of Zoe's lines have double meanings, including the word sparkles, and can be broadly interpreted to mean many things. Jared Rosen rates her as one of the most knowledgeable known beings in the universe, just behind Swain and Aurelian Soul.
Swain knows? I guess he's got the demon, huh? That makes sense.
Yeah.
Same. And that bro's reading 24/7. He knows as much as two gods.
The Ionians' use of Twilight is very separate to the meaning given to it by Targonians. So in Ionia, they consider Twilight as a time, when dark and light are in balance, while Targonians view it as a time of transition or change.
I think I say they view it as a time when the sun is still setting, but it's not quite night yet.
That's what I was thinking of it as.
As a time of day.
Demacians view it as the greatest fantasy YA novel ever made.
Yeah, until New Moon. Come on.
What comes after New Moon, Mark?
Breaking Dawn.
No.
Right? Does it? I don't know.
God,
Eclipse?
now I'm lost. Yeah, Eclipse and then Breaking Dawn. I was like, I think Breaking Dawn's the last
Whatever, I
one.
was-
I don't totally remember.
Whatever.
John pretending like
Oh
he
no,
doesn't
I've
know.
lost all my cred.
Now, her being responsible for the fate of the Darkens was described by her narrative team kind of like her violating a prime directive. So giving the mortals the power to defeat the Darken gave her plausible deniability. Like, hey, I didn't do anything. The mortals did it.
Interesting.
Was she a loose cannon cop?
Right.
She getting her ass chewed out by the chief up in Targon Prime.
She wears a shirt. Aspects don't kill darken people with aspect weapons too, or something like that.
God damn it, Zoe. Turn in your bouncy ball and your roller skates.
Look.
She is the first heterochromic character. Heterochromic character.
You got
Jesus,
this one.
it took me a while, but I got there. Not counting Bittersweet Lulu.
What does that mean?
Just 2 different color eyes.
Different eye colors.
Oh my god. I forgot.
This trait is preserved in all of her skins, thanks to the players, because it wasn't originally in Cyberpop, but then they pitched a fit. So
Weird.
Zoe has multiple walk cycles that change randomly over the course of the game, but players can also toggle to the next one using the toggle keybind, which by default is just Control 5.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so you can be skipping all
That'd
the
be
time
fun.
if you want.
That is fun.
Zoe has a cameo in the action role-playing game Crosscode.
What the fuck is that?
Just a
Oh,
different
okay. I've
game.
never heard of it.
Zoe
I know it's
carries-
another game, John. Jesus, sorry.
Oh. I don't know what you want from me. I told you the genre even. It's an action role-playing game. Zoe carries around a moonstone, one of Bard's chimes, and a key that belongs to Fiddlesticks. Zoe's
Damn,
color
she's
palette.
easy.
I know, right?
I was gonna say she needs to hook up with Nami.
Zoe's color palette drew from several existing Targonian champions. She's got golden hair from, or she doesn't have golden hair, but the color palette being the golden hair from Leona, blue clothes from Diana, silver tones from Tarek, and colors of the sky from Aurelian Soul. And finally, her Cyberpop skin resembles Futaba Sakura from Persona 5, which is interesting because that's another character voiced by Erica Lindbeck.
Hey.
Interesting.
Full circle, baby.
You think they were like, hey, while you're here, is there any characters you voice who would be a cool skin?
That's definitely how they got it, for sure.
Right.
Might as well. I mean, if you look at the other Cyberpop skins, first of all, the fact that they're a part of Project at all is weird.
It's super
Like,
weird.
That is weird.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of them in there.
Yeah. Well, any final Zoe thoughts?
I don't know. I feel like you could just write a really. She seems like a really good. What am I trying to say? It's been a long episode. You could write she seems like really primed to write a simple, funny story. And I kind of wish that she just had something like that.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
Pick a lane.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
Okay. Damn.
I think that's appropriate. Yeah.
Well, that was Zoe, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. We have a Twitch, twitch.tv/loreheads. We will be live there this coming Wednesday. This is going to be posted on Monday. So Wednesday, I said twitch.tv/loreheads. Wednesday, 9 p.m. EST is what we're looking for. We are going to be live streaming our Zyra episode, our last champion episode. So if you want to pop in and ask some questions, which we'll probably answer either at the very beginning or after we've kind of gone through all of her lore, which we don't expect is going to be very much. Come on in, ask some questions. We also have a YouTube. If you can't make that live stream, it will be posted there. And we also have lots of little funny clips, our stunning, gorgeous mugs.
I was thinking a drinking mug. I forgot we have like.
No, your
It's a word for
face.
face.
He's like looking around
Oh,
for
he
his
said-
mug, like, oh shit.
To be fair, we do have a lot
What
of
is-
stunning drinking mugs, too.
We do. But we're not usually drinking out of mugs at nighttime when we're recording.
Should be. It's going to be our new thing
Don't drink coffee
for the
at
last episode.
10:30 p.m., which is what the time is right
Oh
now.
boy.
Yeah. We also have a Discord. You want to find some people to play League with or ask us questions there, join the Discord. We also have a Patreon. We kind of talked about it a little bit. We did just post some content where we played champions that we don't freaking know how to play at all. It was rough, but fun-ish.
But we did it.
I feel like I wish I was drunker for it. I might have enjoyed it more.
You wouldn't be able to tell that we weren't based on our gameplay.
Sure. Right.
Yeah, getting 5 people playing a champion for the very first time together, shit's rough. But yeah, you can see that, Gem. We'll have more content coming up soon. Thank you so much to all of our patrons.
But a very special thank you to our Medarda tier patrons, Mr. Dead and King of Hearts. If you were playing a game in a backwater town with a power crystal nearby, I would join and we'd have a good time and I would not blow up your town.
That's
promise.
Good. Okay, good. Don't blow up any towns.
I promise.
A damn first town in every D&D campaign.
To say.
Never makes it. All right, everybody, please be sure to join us next week. We are going to be talking about Rise of the Thorns, the bad bitch herself, my main champion, finally, Zyra.
Woo! Hell yeah.